Forging links.
Forging links.
Forging links, one person at a time.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to our Mellow Yellow Get to Know You chat. I'm excited for today. We've got a nice little intimate group, and we've got somebody here today that I can't wait to hear from, but I'd love for you to all turn your cameras on. Look at us. It's a tight little, there's hardly anyone here. Nice to see you, Paul. You're muted. There you go.
You know what? We'll actually get this right one of these days, won't we? But not today.
Maybe.
This just goes to show we're all human.
We are all human. That's it. None of us are professionals at this. That's what makes it even better. What the point of today's chat was just on our last Mellow Yellow call, we worked out the need, going forward for human connection, because we can see that going into the metaverse, that can easily be taken away from us, and that's actually a dangerous thing. So I thought, we're on these Zooms together a lot, and I think it'd be nice for us in a small little group to tell each other's stories. Oh, yay, Ricky and Lucy got their camera on too. Hey, Laura, nice. I just thought if we can get used to telling our story, there'll be somebody on the call that will connect with us, that human connection that we all crave, we all need as human beings. So I thought today we're just going to do that. And it can be as little or as long as you like. We'll try and stick to the hour because I like it to be about an hour. Hey, Ruthie. But I just thought, hey, Mr. Gunson, we might start with you, and then I'll do a little one just to start us off, and then just put your hand up, because then we can go through in order. Yeah? How's that? Good?
Brilliant. Yeah, just for the benefits. I mean, I think pretty much everyone's heard my story now, but just
not everyone.
Yeah,
that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, I'm sure, but 2 years ago we all got kind of impacted by COVID, and me more than most, because my wife actually died as a result of already having some underlying health issues, but COVID was like the thing that kind of took it away from us, I suppose. And then not long after that, I ended up losing my job after 25 years. And I found myself in a bad place. And then I got introduced to what was then Hyperfund. And I thought, you know what, this could be my kind of last pony that I jump on, and hope that we have some success. And, cut a long story short, we obviously did, up until the Christmas. And I was grateful to have known Kirsten about 15 to 18 months prior to that on our other channel. And I just said, you need to have a look at this and see whether this can do anything for you and Paul and your family. And initially she rejected it, and 3 times I think it was in the end, and then eventually she had the look, and the rest is history, as they say. But I think what I got from it was I found a home. I found a place where I was safe. I had people around me that I knew, that I trusted, that I knew, cared about me. I'm not a person that likes sympathy. I don't want people to say, "Oh, poor Paul." But, I understand that everybody has a story. And I think when the human story comes out and we share, that there's, we talked about it yesterday with this avatar thing about, if anyone's watched the Avatar, when you connect with the earth. I took my grandkids up to our church yesterday, and I told them to take their shoes and socks off and, walk on the grass and connect with the earth. And I think this community kind of does that. It connects us. It almost becomes a spiritual thing, I think. When we know each other's stories, when we can empathize with each other without being sympathetic, because sympathy doesn't do it for me, but empathy does. And when people who I know and I care about and I love say, "Oh, we're awful sorry to hear about that, Paul," I feel that, and it's real, it's human. Rather than someone, "Oh, don't worry about it, you'll get over it." Those type of conversations I just don't relate to. So yeah, so I'm grateful for this community. I'm grateful for Kirsten, for really it has been my rock, if I'm honest. Got me through a very, very difficult time when I lost my wife, because she was somebody who I could talk to, and I could pour out my heart. I could cry on her shoulder, even though it's like the other side of the world. And I think that that's what this community gives us. It gives us a space where we can, one, be comfortable and enjoy each other's company without having to, live on top of one another, as they say. But yeah, just so grateful for you all, and really love and appreciate what you do and the support that you give Kirsten and I within our community. And we're just grateful to have you here. So I'd love to hear your stories. Go on.
Oh, thanks, Paul. That's lovely. I'm going to, Tina's already got a hand up, so I'm going to ask you to unmute Tina and bring you in, because there we go, just in case anyone chickens out. So I'll bring you in as soon as your hand goes up.
I thought you were going first. Damn.
I will, but I'll let you go. Hey, Tina.
Thanks. Right, where shall I start? Right. I was a shop manager until I had my children. So I had a career doing that. Then I had my kids and was off work for quite a while. We all had quite a few illnesses, the kids and me. And then my husband was in hospital for 12 months with transverse myelitis, which is, he was a fireman and totally fit one night, woke up the next morning paralyzed. So he was in hospital for 11 months. That was a long old journey, because I had two young kids under, I think they were both under 6 at the time. Luckily I had a good family, so they helped out, but I was going backwards and forwards to the hospital every single day, and it was quite a hard slog because he was so fit before. He's now come out of, he's obviously came out of hospital, and I got him to a certain point, and then I think I just had a breakdown. It all got on top of me, and unfortunately I left him. But I'm sure it was because I was having a breakdown, because he's still my best friend now. I'm remarried and he gave me away at the wedding. We're still best friends, and we spend Christmas together with the kids and everything. But yeah, once the kids grew up, I was getting back to work and doing quite well in my career. It was actually telesales, but I was becoming like a telesales manager at the call center, and I was really enjoying it. And then all of a sudden I just was finding things really difficult, and unfortunately I met my husband at the call center and we got married, and then a month later I had a stroke. So that sent everything back, and I lost my speech. I lost my right side.
Did you lose your speech completely? Like,
yeah.
To what level? Completely?
Yeah, I couldn't get any sentences out at all. And what was going through my head, I knew what to say, but I couldn't get the words to come out. It was all muddled. I couldn't read, I couldn't write, because I lost a lot of my memory as well. I lost the memories of when the kids were born, when the kids were growing up. I'm getting a little bit of that back. And obviously, as you can tell, I've got my speech back. But you and Paul will remember on the last one, when I'm nervous or upset or with people that I don't know, it goes again. I think that's probably stress or what, I don't know, but my brain just doesn't seem to connect with my mouth, and I can't get the words to come out. It's really weird, but I've worked really hard I can't work now because of obviously pain and mobility and my speech. and my memory. But I decided to give network marketing a go. I really enjoyed it because it gave me a reason to get up, gave me someone to talk to, because I was selling products, health and wellness products, and they were actually doing me good as well. I worked really hard at my writing through texting and just generally on my speech and that, and it got a lot better, and I was able to communicate again with people because of doing the network marketing. My upline even took me to France to one of the what are they called when you go to
Loads.
what?
Was it Loads?
No, it was France to a conference.
Like yeah,
Right, okay.
With all, and meet everybody. And God, I thought that was wonderful. But I never really felt I couldn't force people to buy expensive products. It just wasn't me. I couldn't get into the selling because of obviously not being able to talk properly and get my words out. I just get in a muddle and I couldn't handle it. And because I wasn't going up the ranks, I never felt part of the team. It just didn't connect. So I left that, and the person that was under me with them actually introduced me to this. And I come on, and I couldn't be more grateful that I found Jamie and Lindsay, and they introduced me to you guys, because it's just blown my mind. I've just come on so much since then, with because I feel like I found my family. Do you know what I mean? That's just,
I do know what you mean.
yeah. And yes, it means a lot to me. And when you can't go out a lot and you're missing out on going to parties with friends, and you can see them on Facebook going here, there, and everywhere, but you can't do it. A Zoom like this in the evening to me is like going out. Do you know? You know, I'm sat on my bed with me comfy chair, but I'm still talking to friends, and it's great to me. So for me, it's not just the investment and everything else, it's the friends side of it as well.
Absolutely.
And that's my story.
I couldn't agree more.
That's absolutely beautiful. And just so that you know, guys, you may have heard me kind of having this little bit of a banter with Tina over this cream cake thing. You know, I had the beautiful pleasure of fulfilling one of my bucket lists a couple of weeks back, in that I went to visit a friend who had a 50th birthday, and she got engaged, and it was right in Southampton next to Stonehenge, and Stonehenge was on my bucket list. So I thought, well, here's a chance to kill two birds with one stone. And I thought, you know what, I'm going to go and visit Tina. And I went and visited her. And we had about a 45, 50-minute chat. And it was just great to make that connection and, see the human being. And you're a beautiful soul, Tina, absolutely beautiful soul. And that cream cake is still coming. Don't worry. But great share, thank you.
Thank you very much for that, Tina. Thank you. I feel like I do feel like I know you, even though we haven't met. And that's what I love about these things, when people actually open up and show their humanity. It's a beautiful, beautiful thing. Thank you very much. All right, I'm going to ask Jenny to unmute. She's next in the line, and I'm going to bring her in. Hello, Jenny.
Hi,
Good morning. Hello. I'm very new to the group, new to the crypto world, really. And something that when we first joined Hyper Fun sort of thing, the human connection was a big thing, I suppose, because COVID had happened as well. And it was like, well, gosh, we don't know anybody, we don't talk to anybody, and I kind of missed that connection. So this was good when Lawrence told us that you were doing a group that was helping learn the basics, because there were so many words that we didn't know or understand at all. And then I popped inadvertently a comment in last week and mentioned something about part of our journey or what I do. So I would describe myself now as a spiritual director, spiritual alchemist. That's energy healing, energy work has been my passion. My background's nursing. I was a coronary care nurse at the Royal Children's over here for about 20-something years, ran the unit, and then we wanted to change and we moved into real estate of all things. My husband has a structural steel drafting company, and we were always looking for something different that we could move from the careers we were in. And, you know, got into all wealth creation, been in a couple of network marketing businesses, and automatically did okay, but didn't know how we were doing it. I didn't understand the energy, attraction, vibration, all these sort of things. Like other people would say, oh, I ring 10 people and I don't get one, and I'd ring 10 people and 7 would say yes. It was like, what's going on here? So I kind of started to study more. And then we one time volunteered to help our Rich Dad powwow event here in Melbourne, and started volunteering, helping their events, and then ended up doing Robert Kiyosaki's PA work, and travelled around and did these big events and all these sort of things. And then we ended up doing his instructor training and a whole lot of different things. Really got quite big in real estate, featured in numerous books and things. But it's interesting, the ego gets in the way. You always want more, more, more. We had 33 positive cash flow properties, obviously, you know, free, but that wasn't enough. It was like, oh, well, we have to do more. And then we got into property developing, and the mind takes over, more, 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 more. And then the GFC hit in 2008, and obviously finances got so tight and no one was telling us the truth. There's always a clause that finance institutions can get out of contracts. So we were $5 million into development and they pulled the loan. And that was a $32 million. So it's pretty easy at interest at $34,000 a month to go down. So it wasn't long. Well, it actually did take a couple of years. Our National Bank here kept saying that they would take it over because we'd sold over 60% and there was 10 million profit in it. So it was a great deal, but we didn't understand they didn't have any money. So they kept promising that they would do it, but they kept saying, oh, well, we need another set of accountants' figures because it's 6 weeks since we've seen the last ones. And we were gullible and we were too new on the block. We were way ahead of our time. Even with the whole project, it was all environmentally friendly. We owned the roof space. We'd sold the energy to an energy company. We were going to do carbon credit trading and all these things way ahead of like where we are now. And that seems to be our story. I'm always about 10 years ahead of where the world is at. So within 18 months to 2 years, we'd lost everything. So there was 4 companies, the family home. We handed the cars back to the dealership, literally everything. Previously, we had a $1,000 credit card, which we paid every month. I think they were up to about $30,000. So because we kept thinking, well, as soon as NAB's taken over, then all the money will be flowing right and we'll be fine. I kept going into we'll be fine. And then you reach a point where you know that's it. And we knew about 18 months before, so I sometimes call it we're prepared to fail. So we did, and that kind of helped us get a start again. So
explain what you mean by that, Jenny, explain what you mean by that.
When you kind of know shit is hitting the fan and there's nothing much you can do about it, you know they're going to take you home and that. It takes about 18 months to 2 years to go through the process of them taking it off you. You know, they give you time, they give you time. So we're a little bit cheeky in, well, I suppose because we were educated, we knew the game. We challenged the debt and all these sort of things. So it bought us a lot of time, but we kept buying physical gold and silver instead of paying our mortgage.
Yep.
So we used to jokingly say we were on the gold and silver trail. So we travel into town and we always bought it under the amount that is disclosable. So that when shit really did finish hitting the fan, we had something to start our next life.
And they didn't know that you had it.
No, was never registered.
Yeah.
So
my kind of girl.
So I mean, and obviously we've learned from that, and we're still doing those sorts of things. So we just decided that after being in the corporate world for such a long time, and look, honestly, our legal fees and accountant bills were bigger than most people would earn. It was just ridiculous when we looked at the amounts we were paying just to survive and float these companies. So we decided, no, not going to do that again. No credit cards, no debt. We were going to live a totally different life. And people, angels showed up and supported that, because obviously when you hand the keys over, there was actually a freedom in handing the keys over. I actually felt a level of relief, like finally I didn't have to take all these phone calls. And someone gave us a very small 2-bedroom apartment for 1 year, just gave it to us with no rent, no payment. And it was like, we know you need this to get on your feet. And that's kind of helped us have time to go through some of the crap. We went to Brazil and did some really high-end energy healing work, and the magic that occurred there. It's, you know, when shit hits the fan, it's amazing how it opens you to something totally different that you would have never dreamt of. Yeah. So literally we went over there. I'm what they call clairaudient, and some people might know clairvoyant and all these different clair gifts. And I literally got called to go there. The way the tickets came about, the price of the ticket, when I bought the ticket to go for 6 weeks, it was ridiculously cheap. And then my husband's going, do we really have to go for 6 weeks? Can we just go for 2? And I said, oh, well, okay, we'll just go for 2. And then the tickets would triple in price. But when I type in the 6 weeks, there would be that ridiculously cheap ticket. So I thought,
you were meant to be there for 6 weeks. Yeah,
we have to go for 6 weeks. And interestingly, it was 2012, December 2012. So we were there for a major energy transformation time. We were there for the 21st to the 12th, 2012.
Yes.
And here we're doing this amazing energy healing work. And I kept getting told, buy this crystal healing bed. And mind you, we've hardly got any cash to even, we had no home to go home to. And it's like, buy this bed. And my husband's going, you're going to buy a bed at $6,000 and we don't even have a home. Are you mad? And yes. And so then I'm walking down to these sacred waterfalls and I hear, we've looked after your accommodation by the bed. And so then I'm telling my husband, well, I just heard this. And he's going, well, who said that? Because he doesn't kind of have these sort of things that happen. He's in the background here. And it was like, well, okay, I can't really explain it at that time. 2012, I couldn't have explained it. I knew I had this gift because it had been around in my nursing. I always knew when a child was going to crash 9 hours or so before. I knew when my kids were sick a day before. So I can see energy and all these sorts of things. So then lo and behold, within 24 to 36 hours, our son rang us from Australia and said, the Australian Tennis Centre is getting rid of a building. We have to take it now if we want it. It's 20 metres long and blah, blah. It was the tennis centre, ball boys thing. So friends of ours allowed us to put it on their property. Again, rent-free for the term of our life. We had been in construction, so we physically built it ourselves. It cost $3,000. My mum and my son bought it. They dumped it up on the farm, just flat packed. And then my husband designed it and built it. And
it was a flat pack.
We literally, it's refrigerated panels, and we literally laid it on the ground like a jigsaw, and we're trying to figure out how it's all going to go together because there was no plans. And now it's a 6-room healing space, a remembering space for people to do work, and I teach there and all that sort of thing, but debt free, just all built by our hands and volunteers, and stuff all came from recyclable stuff, and it's amazing.
An incredible
Wow.
mind shift here, just a complete mind shift.
Oh yeah, I did get to a day where literally we'd done 18 months to build this, and we're in there. But I opened my wallet and had $4, and Gary opened his bank account and had 10. And then I dropped to my knees and I'm yelling, "This is not the way I'm going to live. This isn't who I am." And it was like, well, get off your ass and start doing your work again. And it's like, well, who would want to listen to me? I've done such a stuff up, My kids didn't have a home and all that. And then I had 2 clients who were naturopaths, and they said their pills and potions weren't working as good as some of my sort of stuff. Would I come and work in the clinic a couple of days a week? And that was the start of coming back.
Wow.
But I helped one of them fall pregnant through an IVF thing, and she had to close the practice, and I lost my job. So ever since, I've just worked from referral and but really that was about building my confidence again, knowing that even though we navigated what we had, the wisdom that I acquired, and I more moved from the love of money and wanting money to understanding real value of self-esteem and self-worth, and helping
freedom.
people see that within themselves. So that was the transition. Instead of more millions and more millions, which really didn't make any difference, just gave me another bigger job and a bigger headache, to having honestly limited funds, but having the most amazing lifestyle.
Freedom.
Total freedom. Like, I haven't had a clock for 10, 15 years. I only set the alarm when I'm seeing clients, and I only choose to do that 3 days a week. And also very much out of the system. We don't do very little within any of the old systems.
Awesome. That's why somebody was saying, somebody will come and they'll show you different things, different projects at the moment, this time of transition in hyper. And it's just like, they look great, but they don't give me what I wanted in the first place. What I saw with hyper was that shift away from the old system, where the controls all in their hands, and it's giving it back to the people. That's what I love.
Absolutely. Like, in truth, we all have the power. We all have the ability to do the shift, but we've got to so I say you've got to know yourself and reclaim your own personal power. And that takes education and a bit of time. We've got to clean out some shit from the past to support that growth to happen. Because on our YouTube page, we were mucking around one day, and we just say, it's all about you and what you do. And that really is our life. We've got to get to know who we are and why we respond the way we do. Absolutely. So I do shadow work, and I teach in many different ways, but I try to simplify it down into, 4 of this, 4 of that. And that was the comment with the Robert. I think I got with his 4 quadrants. I like the 4. So then I do the 4 voices of the ego, the 4 wounds, the 4 agendas. So everything's kind of 4 levels of self-esteem, and just to help give context of why we behave the way we do, but not make it too personal, because you've got to have a seat as a technician and be able to look at yourself impersonally so that you can shift and move through.
It's much easier to see from the outside looking in. That stuff that you do, if you can PM me the details of that, I'll put it in our group and share it in our group as well, because we're all into personal development at this point. I've only been introduced to personal development through Hyperverse. I didn't do any of it before. So
probably about 30 years.
There you go.
It's interesting on that, Jenny, because Robert.
We lost your face, Jenny.
Whoop. Robert Kiyosaki has been one of my mentors for about 10, 15 years. And, the importance of understanding why we need to get educated in finance, because we've been programmed so much about not understanding finance that when these things happen, these booms and busts and, you know, rises and crashes, you know, you kind of, even with the education, you can't avoid them. They happen, and sometimes pride gets in the way, as Jenny mentioned. You know, you want the extra million, you want the next million, you want the next million. And the whole reason why Forging Links is so focused on education right now is to get you ready for that wealth. You know, Jenny talked about that abundance that comes from, you know, not necessarily losing everything. Like I felt like I lost everything. You know, I lost my job after 25 years. I lost my wife after 42 years. I lost my son at the age of 32. I lost my son-in-law at the age of 24. So I had every reason not to do any of this stuff. But because from an early age, from around about 25, 26, I went on that self-development path. And although I didn't get a lot of it, and a lot of it kind of went over my head, I knew that it was going to be a lifelong learning process. And I became a life coach because I did listen to Robert Kiyosaki, Jim Rohn, Tony Robbins, all of those people. And sadly, and it is sad, because most people don't know how awesome they are, because they've been encapsulated by this. It's almost like a negative cocoon. You can't have wealth. You can't be successful. You have to do this. You have to do that. You must follow this. I remember my dad saying, you know, you got to work hard. You got to work hard. You got to work hard. And I followed that path, only to realize when you learn how to work smart rather than hard, you can go on a path of discovery and a path of success. Nobody ever became financially rich by working hard, trust me. They learned, they did it by personal development. I remember when I served my time as a blacksmith, hence the reason why we've got Forging Links, is one of my professors, tutors, engineers, when I was training, he said to me, the best way to become successful in any trade is to learn the skills of the shortcuts. And it took me years to understand what he meant. And what I learned early on, that when I observed people and how they did things and watched and listened and just sat back, I picked up the shortcuts. I learned the skills. I could see what they were doing that was different. And that's how I believe I became very astute at reading people. Because when I started to work with autistic adults and spent 25 years learning how to communicate with people who can't communicate, I learned a skill that I would never have learned had I not pursued personal development. And as Kirsten said, you know, she's only come into that literally the last 12 months. So it's never too late to learn is the thing here. So when you're lacking in self-belief, self-confidence, you feel, oh, I'll never be successful. Trust me, you were born successful. Anybody that was born into this world was already successful. Do you know the odds are millions and millions to one of actually surviving birth? And you're here. You have been given the greatest gift of all that could ever be given, which is life. And all you've got to do is pursue it. Just do what you can with it, learn all the time. I learn something new every day, and I'm grateful, and I express gratitude for it. So Jenny, that was a beautiful share. Thank you for that.
Yeah,
Absolutely
the
incredible.
quality of our questions leads to the quality of our life.
Absolutely.
So
Yes.
I really believe at this moment, as a spiritual director, the world is going through a massive shift, and that we need a different sort of education. And there really isn't that many people who have lived it and who understand how we need to reconnect and remember our own power, and the fact that we all have the ability to do this. And just the fact that you're even here at all your different times around the world shows that you're ready, and that you've actually only got to access some different information that perhaps you haven't heard before. And then all of a sudden you can make a difference in all your communities. And it's amazing the power of a group. Even when we teach bigger rooms, we say one-on-one, you have so much influence, but put 11 together. 1 + 1 is a hell of a lot more than,
Absolutely.
So, no, it's lovely to be here, and it's great to hear people's stories.
Thank you so
Thank
much,
you.
Jenny. And yes, please forward me all your details, because I, for one, would be interested in what you do. So, yeah.
Yeah, I
I
don't have the traditional businesses and everything that some people have. I mean, I have got a website, but I'm not great at upgrading it and things like that. So we've got some on YouTube. I just tend to teach by referral, and I'm happy just one day just to run the concepts of how to visualize the difference between a physical life emotional response and a spiritual awareness. And then I'm happy to answer questions.
We'll invite you onto our team huddle. It's on a Saturday morning.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah,
Saturday's
you would
quite
do
good
that
because
for
we're
us.
back in the city. But yeah, I'm happy to share any of those sort of things in any way that can help.
Thank you
Beautiful.
so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jenny. Appreciate it. Thanks. Right, we have now got Kev. Hi, Kev.
Hi,
Good
Kevin.
evening, everyone. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Excellent. Right. Well, I've heard 4 people with their stories so far, and all you've done is confirmed exactly what I thought, that we are all, you might not agree with this, but we are all victims of society.
Absolutely.
through one way or another. Now, I've got hours and hours of things that I can tell you of how I've got to the space that we're in now, but I'll leave that for another night. We've got more nights. But tonight I'm going to start from 20 years ago when I met my wife, Sarah. There's Sarah.
I'm somewhere here.
No,
Hi, Sarah.
she's just finished work, bless her, so she's tired. Right, 20 years ago I met Sarah, and prior to that, I'd had a breakdown, and it was due to, get this, having too much money.
Oh.
Because, now the thing is, I was born with nothing. I've got most of that left. Yeah, there's that good. Yeah, but at the time, prior to 20 years ago, prior to meeting Sarah, I had far too much money, and unfortunately, I entered the drug scene. Yes, some people have identified that I am an ex-drug addict, and proud to say that I'm still living, because a lot of my friends haven't got that pleasure. Now, when you start losing close friends to drugs and addictions, you start wanting to change your bloody life because you don't want to follow the same track. So I had a breakdown because I stopped the drugs with no withdrawals whatsoever. And it's the worst thing anybody can do, because it ended up me going into a mental health unit for at least a month, just over a month. Wow. Wasn't nice at all, because I was suffering what's known as amphetamine psychosis. Amphetamines was the drugs that I was addicted to, and if you stop them just like that, you end up with amphetamine psychosis. While I was in rehab and recovering, I had this change in perception of what life's all about, a very spiritual awakening, let's just say that, which was great, because it's that that's kept me off the drugs in the past 20 odd years. And I said to my mental health worker, I said, I want to go self-employed. And they tried every trick in the book to stop me from doing it. Now, I'm the sort of person, if somebody wants to stop me from doing something, I rebel. And I'll do it because they don't want me to, yeah? I opened a computer shop, and I was repairing computers for people in our local town. And the Prince's Trust heard about our business, me and my business partner, and they gave us the contract for the whole of the east of England to provide recondition computers to new business. Now, that to me was gold. It was really gold, yeah? So successful, it was unbelievable. We didn't make a lot of money, but it was the success of having the pride of running your own business and being involved with such a big organization. Perfect, yeah? It went overnight, the whole lot. Now,
How?
we
How?
got robbed. Now, the thing is, my half of the money put into setting up this business was my own money, okay? The other half was a loan from the Prince's Trust for my other business partner. Now, we got robbed, the shop got robbed, and they virtually took everything. And because this was my own money, because this is another story that I'm not going to tell you tonight, but I've got a lot of legal challenges that I've got through, and that's why I'm here today. Basically, what it was, they robbed us, left us on the streets, but I was insured with what I believed was the best insurance company in the world. I won't name them, but it starts with Z and ends in Uric. Okay. And I
Okay, don't say what the name is, then, will you?
and I deliberately went with the best insurance company in the world because I wanted to provide the best sort of service to my customers. I asked them to come out and assess all the shop windows, doors, locks and everything, and I got the all clear, and I paid for a year's insurance in advance. Every time I went out to a house to do a job, that customer was covered by over £1 million for any damage that I caused. It was a brilliant policy, okay? So we got robbed. I rung them up. The loss assessor came out, said, right, we've got no problem with what you're claiming. The only problem we've got is the locks on your shop doors aren't up to standard. And I'm like, hang on a minute. Went through my file of facts and picked up the business card of their representative that came out to check the shop out. And do you know what their answer was? He doesn't work for us anymore, so it doesn't apply. And they would not pay me out. Okay. My life fell apart because all I had was invested in that business. Okay. And I'd only just been with Sarah for about 6 months at the time, and she became a business partner because my original business partner just did a bunk, didn't want to be part of it, so she bought into the business. Anyway, cutting a long story short, I approached the financial ombudsman because I thought this was outrageous what Zurich was the insurance company was doing, and they said, their reply to me was, I can't make a claim against this company for 3 months. And I said, why not? You know, this is our life gone. We've got nothing. We had 5 kids between us. We had 5 kids to feed and clothe and whatever. We had no income whatsoever. And they said that any claim like this, you can't claim anything against these companies for 3 months. I said, forget it then, because I haven't got that time, you know? So me and Sarah had this big get together and we sold everything. We sold everything and we bought a van and a caravan and we went off grid. Because what I found out,
much like Jenny's experience.
What I found out about the establishment, not just insurance companies, but the banks as well, was horrendous. I did not want to be part of it. HSBC wanted me to take, I think at the time they was offering me 40,000 just to reopen again. They were begging me to open the shop again. I said no, because I didn't want borrowed money, because I know how credit is brought about. I know how it's created, and I know full well we've all been lied to. And when I found that out, and that was confirmed by the chief executive of the Bank of England, when I want to dig, I dig deep and I go straight to the top man, yeah? And he admitted to me. So I said, right, we're going off grid. Now, that was an experience in itself because we homeschooled our children and we were lowering all our outgoings because obviously council tax is a big bugbear to anybody. water rates, television license. We don't watch telly, but we were having to pay a telly license because they didn't believe us, you know. So all these bills, we said, no, we don't want them. So we went off grid. Anyway, cutting a long story short, we were bombarded with Doge adverts. You know, when Elon Musk first brought Doge to the attention of the media.
Oh, yeah. Dogecoin.
Now, basically, we was on a very low income, but we didn't really need any more money than what we was getting because we were getting by. And like I think it was Jenny said, you realise that money does not bring you happiness, you know. Anyway, we was bombarded with this Doge advert. So we had a look around the markets. We looked at Binance. And all we saw, and I'm sure you've all made this mistake yourselves, all we saw was green candle, green candle, green candle. Right, let's buy. So we put a load of money into Doge, only for a couple of weeks later, all we could see was red candles. And you know the story after that, yeah? Bear market, bear market, bear market. Oh my God, you know, we was having no luck with money whatsoever, you know? Anyway, I'm just trying to find, yeah, I've covered that, yeah. Anyway, yeah, we've struggled on, and then Chris Curtis, who was under Jamie and Lindsay, he introduced us to Hyperverse, and it's like, oh, right, because we saw this market trading. That's all we knew about crypto. We thought it was just market trading. We had no idea there were so many other aspects to crypto. So anyway, he showed us this opportunity, and we've never looked back since. And I know it's been a massive helter-skelter up and down with Hyperverse, but I still are so bullish on it. It's unbelievable because we always get fed, you know, these cryptic messages, so to speak, and I seem to be able to work them out and say, no, that's what's going to happen. And then 2 weeks later, they bloody publish it. And it's like, see, and that's what I said. So we're still fairly bullish on this. Now, we went to, before we came to crypto, we went to live in Gibraltar. We left England altogether because our kids grew up, they fled the nest. So me and Sarah decided to pack up our bags, go live in Gibraltar. And everything in our bloody lives has been paperwork. You can't do this, you can't do that, you know? Yeah. While we lived in Gibraltar, we had the problem with our passports and the EU, coming out the EU and everything. So we ended up having to come back to England. Now, we don't believe in the benefit system, and please don't get me wrong, guys. I know some people rely on that because they need to. And that's fine, that's not a problem. But we have always tried to avoid that because all we see is a pitfall of begging for what you should be entitled to. And then once you get to it, you're always trying to hold on to it because it's so precious, you know. And it's like we said, you know, we're fed up with this. You know, we're hard workers. Every one of us are hard workers. But what have we got to show for it? Here's the clincher. Me and Sarah put our heads together and we said, right, okay, kids have fled the nest. So it changes your life completely when your kids leave home. Okay. We put our heads together and I said, there was one question. I said, right, we've had 20 years under our belt living together. We've had the ups, we've had the downs, we've bit the bullet, we've got through it. How much bloody money have we got through in the last 20 years? You won't believe it. Over £500,000 has come in our pocket and out of our pocket, and we've had nothing to show for it. And we're like, why are we doing this? This is madness, you know? We're not work shy. We'll go out. We both work at a chip shop. I fry normally. I'm out to work at the moment, but I'm normally the fryer who is in charge of the servers. Sarah serves there. Got a brilliant little business, family-run business that we work for. Perfect. They even pay in cash because they don't like putting it through the banking system, which is great for us, you know? But we said, why are we doing this? Why are we earning in one hand to pass out in the other? This is crazy. There's got to be a better way. And I've always had at the back of my mind that we should be able to have the freedom to travel and earn our money while we're traveling so that we can experience life and nature at the same time as earning enough money to live, you know, rent a place, maybe Airbnb or or booking.com. You know, we've done that in the past and it's worked very well. And this seems to be what the crypto space is going to be able to fund us in the future. You know, where we can take our laptops, our iPads, we can jump on a train or a plane and we can bugger off to the other side of the world if we want to, but still keep this going. Now, I've got to, and I'm sorry, I did mean to say this when I first come on, I've got to thank Tina, especially for coming on and sharing her story, because I can relate to that very, very well. In December, early December last year, I was going to work as normal, and I went to work on this particular day and I felt drunk. I felt as though I'd been on the pop, you know, and I told my boss, and she says, look, be careful because it's a dangerous job I'm doing. Ring me if you need me and, you know, I'll come in. That went on from December to the end of March, every day, constantly feeling drunk. And I'm like, what the hell is going on? I was getting vertigo as I was walking in the shop. The tables were swaying. It's like, something's not right here, you know. Went to work, end of March, one Wednesday, start at 4 o'clock, and I basically collapsed, you know. Everything just gave up, you know. All my muscles gave up. I fell to the floor and it was like, oh my God, what's going on here? Cutting a long story short, it turned out, because I'd been suffering migraines as well, it turned out that I've actually developed a condition, a neurological condition called PPPD. I'd never heard of it. And basically what it is, it's your vestibular system that's broken, that creates this vertigo, which creates migraines, and it's a vicious circle. It's going all the time. Now, this is what I could relate to with Tina, because obviously it affected my speech, it affected my eye, all this side of my face. I'm getting symptoms as though I've had a stroke, and it's not that, you know. I've had an MRI scan. And like I say, at the moment, again, crypto is helping to support my lacking wages, because obviously I can't work like that now, you know. We're hoping that long term we can come out of work completely and rely on crypto, but we don't need to at the moment. So like I say, thank you very much, Tina, for coming on, because, you know, it takes a lot to be able to cross that bridge, and it is a massive bridge that you have to cross when you suffer from mental health problems, stresses, anxieties, neurological problems. There's no cure for this. You know, I can only take medication to lower the brain activity. It's similar to epilepsy and schizophrenia. But I don't have fits and I don't have schizophrenic episodes. I just have the vertigo and the migraines. So it's a terrible disease to go through. But this is really, really important that we hold these. This is why I voted the other night to keep them. Because human interaction, and Tina, I'm sure Tina will agree with me, is so important, for more so for people like us that find it difficult in socializing anyway. Now, I live in a shared house of 19 rooms, 19 different couples, and I very rarely see any of them because they're working and they're sleeping and they do night shifts. So like I say, I'm not going to go on, but there's just a small portion of my history and how crypto's helped us and the importance of these Zoom calls. Please keep them going, because I'll second Tina's you know, comment about it being a lifeline, really. Okay, guys? There you go.
Absolutely. You know what? Thanks for giving us that insight. See, because we see your face on the screen, we know nothing about what's brought you to the screen today. And these little bits that put in over time, we get to know the picture of the person. And like, yeah, thanks so much for your insights. I love it. I really do love it.
Personal finances is a big one with me, because like I said, I'm not work shy, but I refuse to work and work and work with nothing to show at the end of it.
Well,
and when we looked into the society and the establishment of how it's run, it is so bloody corrupt. It's unbelievable, you know. And we didn't have a lifeline. And the trouble is that does build up the anxieties and depression, because you don't think there's any sort of future. Hyperverse and people like yourselves that are there for others, for myself included, all around the world, is gold. It really is.
It gives us that hope back.
Absolutely, yeah.
And just on that, Kevin, thanks for that share. just want to touch back on something Jenny said, because both Kirsten and I belong to the same church, and we're very much into, faith and healing and all of those kind of words. We are, I believe, and I'm sure Kirsten will echo it, that we are in an age in the world where it has only really one option, and that is to totally and utterly collapse. But as with anything that is destroyed, there is always the rising of the phoenix. There's always the rising of a new energy. And I believe that we're on the cusp of that, not only physically, as in a global economic crash. We're going to see that. We've been end time prophecy preaching that stuff for years. But what we're seeing now, and going back to the forging links bit, when you forge a chain link and you forge that link and you create that length of a chain, that the strength of that chain is only as strong as the weakest link. You could make 1,000 chain links that are totally 100% brilliant, and then you just get that one flaw, that one weak link, and that chain can utterly destroy. And that's what you guys have shared tonight, perhaps not consciously saying that, but that's what's happened. No matter how successful you might be, no matter how hard you might work, no matter how much energy and effort you put into doing the best for your life, it only takes one little error, and it's not necessarily you that's the error. I've had multiple lost absolute thousands and thousands and thousands trying to be something better than what I was. But where we are now, guys, and don't trust me on this, but get educated, because this is what this is about. The greatest wealth transfer is about to happen. If you think 2008 and Jenny went through 2012 when the property bubble collapsed, if you thought that was bad, trust me, that was a stone being thrown at a pond. What is coming is a tsunami. And when all those bricks and all those buildings and all those establishments and all those global elitists and banking systems and governments and debt and all of that, when all of that comes crumbling down, guess what? We rise as the phoenix.
Yeah.
Because those who have come into this crypto blockchain space, we are already in prime position that when all of those cards come tumbling down, people are going to come to us and say, what is it that you're doing? I believe you're into crypto. I believe you understand what blockchain is. Only 3% of the world right now know what even Bitcoin is.
Yeah.
And I would say probably 90% of those who know what a Bitcoin is don't really know what a Bitcoin is. So and I actually, going on a spiritual level to that, is touching in with my spiritual elements of my life, which is a journey that I've been on for 37 years, is we are being awakened. Our minds are being opened. Those who are prepared to look and see, listen and hear, give and support and help and share. Do you know what? This, I mean, I've just gone all goosebumped already. This, what we've just achieved here tonight, I'm sure Jenny will relate to this. It's almost been a healing session,
Yeah.
because when you share your heart and when you share your soul with fellow human beings, it takes on its own, it metamorphoses into its own energy, and it heals. It's like a balm. I mean, we will often quote scripture, and the healing balm of Christ. The living water, the air that we breathe, the lungs that we breathe, touching base with the ground and walking barefoot in the meadow. We were created out of dust, and unto dust we will return. We are the universe. We are the energy. We are the life force. We are the thing that most lacks in the universe right now, and that is unity. And the more we can knit together, the more we can come together, that we can forge together and become links of humanity and help and rise others, because that's what we're about. That's what this channel is all about, reaching the human soul.
One thing for sure, Paul, we have been awake to all this corruption for so long now. It's what, 12 years or more. One thing I can say for definite is that back then, when we saw the corruption, and once you've seen it, you can't unsee it, you can't forget it. Okay, you've got to retrain your brain, basically, because we've been fed so much bullshit in the past that you are being reborn. It's like a rebirth. Yeah. One thing that I can say for definite is that society back then, 10, 12 years ago, it was like talking to a brick wall, mate, and telling them that, you know, the banks are corrupt, credit is, you know, you create your credit, not the banks, you know, and they didn't want to know, you know, and it was head banging against the wall time then, because it was like, please open your eyes. That alone was so frustrating. What I can say now is we're sat on the fence watching everybody wake up. And you know what, mate? That is heartwarming. It really is heartwarming, because what we were doing 10, 12 years ago is now, it's like a snowball effect, you know? It's getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And I will agree with you there, Paul, because like I say, I think they class it as the age of Aquarius, where everybody goes through the spiritual awakening. That's right.
Yeah.
And there's no stopping it. There's no stopping it. And like I say, being in a group of similarly minded people is heartwarming. If there's anyone else on this group that can relate to it, nice one. You know, this is what it's all about. Really is.
And just
hold on a second, Paul. Dee's just put a message in to ask you a question. She said she's going through bad headaches, vertigo, facial muscle spasms, speech problems when the pain is so great, the sick feeling, breathing problems at time as well, but she hasn't had a diagnosis. What test did they do on you to diagnose you? She's asking.
Very, very good question, because this scared the life out of me. But it's crucial to get a diagnosis, because I'd never heard of triple PD. Basically, what it is.
Triple PD it is, eh? Triple P.
Triple PD, PPPD. I think it's positive postural positional disorder. I think that's what it says. It's all to do with your balance mechanism. Yeah, PPPD is the diagnosis. Sorry, yeah, that's right. Right, what happened? I went into the doctors, and even when you sat on well, to be fair, I didn't. I went to the emergency room. It was that bad, you know, and it's after hours, so I went up to A&E. And even when you sat on a seat, it feels as though you're going to fall off. It is awesomely terrible, you know, it's like your whole world's imploded. Anyway, they sent me, cutting a long story short, they sent me to an ENT consultant at the hospital.
ENT?
Ear, nose and throat. And also they booked me in for an emergency MRI scan, because there's always that suspicion that it could have been a mini stroke or an aneurysm or something like that. Now, the breakthrough came when I went to the ENT consultant. I told him, because they need to know your history, how long have you had this condition, whether it's been over 3 months or not. Now, obviously, December to April, yes, it had been over 3 months. If it's over 3 months, then they can do these tests on you. And what they do, they stand you up, and you've got to look at the door of the consultation room. You look at the door and you march on the spot with your eyes open. That's all. That's fine. That's not a problem. Then you've got to close your eyes, facing the door, and do exactly the same thing for 50 steps, but don't open your eyes. Now, I thought this was okay, no problem, yeah. I didn't get past 10, and he put his hand on my shoulder and he says, right, you can stop now, but slowly open your eyes. You're never going to believe what happens, guys. I was facing completely the opposite direction, and I had no sense of direction or anything, because as far as I was concerned, I was still looking at the door with my eyes shut. That's how they diagnose you. And that's how, because if you move to the left, unaware, which obviously I wasn't, it scared the living daylights out of me. I was like, where are you? And I was like, where is he? He's gone, you know, because he was there a minute ago, but it's your whole body turns 360 degrees. And that's how they can tell. Sorry, I got a bit of feedback then. That's how they can tell that your vestibular system has broken. And you have to do certain exercises to retrain it, basically. But the trouble is, what happens, you get migraines that create the dizziness. And then if you've got PPPD, your dizziness does not go away. Say, for instance, you know, the waltzers at the fairground, where you speedway, where you're spinning round and round in a circle. You jump off, you're dizzy for about 2 minutes, and then it wears off. With this condition, it doesn't go. You continue with that, it can last up to a week or more, and it's, oh man, it's terrible. And you can't work like that. But like I say, you definitely go to the doctors, explain the symptoms, and ask them to see an ENT or a neurologist. Now, to be able to treat it, because there's no cure for this problem, but they can treat the illness, like with epilepsy and whatever. They can give you drugs to calm down your brain activity, because that's ultimately what it is. Your vestibular system is a central, it's like a CPU in a computer, where your eyes and your ears and your feet interpret together to create your balance mechanism. And that's what's broken. You know, I can be walking up the street and literally fall into a hedge as I'm walking in what I believe to be a straight line. It's not a very good condition to have at all. Now, me, myself, they've put me on amitriptyline, and I was like, oh no, I mean, being an ex-addict, that's not a good idea, because I mean, it'll knock a horse out, that stuff. Anyway, they said, no, this is crucial, because you've got to calm your brain activity down in order for your rehab therapy to work. So like I say, you know, if I don't know who it was that wanted to know that.
It was Dee, and I've put those notes in there, and I hope that helps, Dee. That's something maybe you can take to your doctor that you've heard from somebody else, and maybe they can look into that. Who knows?
Absolutely. And if Dee wants to hit me up in private message at any time, just, you know, I'm in the group on Facebook or Telegram, and like I say, if I can help in any way, because I know how, oh, it's horrible. I wouldn't wish it on my worst enemy. I haven't got
it's Kev Barfoot on Facebook, isn't it, Kev?
Barefoot, yeah.
Is it B-A-R-E?
Yeah, barefoot, as in no shoes.
Awesome. Okay, I'll just put that in there so Dee you can reach out to him privately. Awesome.
Absolutely, because it's a frightening condition and you feel very alone. Because like I say, it's one of those invisible illnesses that, how do you explain it to somebody? That in itself can be extremely frustrating, trying to describe it to somebody. So like I say, I got somebody to reach out to. If Dee hasn't, let her know that I'm more than willing to, you know, PM and whatever if she wants to try and help her. Okay.
That's lovely. Thanks for that, Kev.
No problem.
I love that. That was cool. Well, guys, we're over our hour. I'm grateful to everyone that shared today. It was so cool. So cool. I feel connected to everyone that shared today. I think we'll do this again on Tuesday next week, my time. So yeah, because Monday night for you guys.
I'm sure there's plenty of other members in the group that haven't had the time to do that. So I'm looking forward to reading, watching and listening.
Yeah. I think we'll just carry these on because they're neat. I love hearing from you guys, and we learn from each other. There's a few things that I've picked up today that are going in here, and Dee's just said thank you very much.
No
love
problem.
To reach out.
No problem.
Choice.
Like I say, right, this isn't just about crypto; it's about community. This is what we're
about sport, humanity, connection, human connection. Yeah. Beautiful. All right, guys, love you all. Have a great time. Jenny's dropped her things in there. I will chuck them in the Facebook group as well. And Kirsten, on with that. Yes.
Kirsten, when's the next one? Is it Friday or next?
The next one of these kind of chats will be on my Tuesday, so it'll be your Monday night.
Awesome.
We'll have our team huddle on Saturday, and that's just a different kind of chat altogether. But yeah, I kind of like these personal ones. It's like
Mhm.
Oh, my friend.
makes a change. And like I say, this is targeting exactly what we were saying. We need to keep that
Yes.
human social side of it. Definitely.
Definitely.
Excellent.
And just to wrap it up with the scripture, guys, because I do like scripture. The Lord tells us that He will take the weak things of the world and He will turn them into
You're wise.
and that's what we are. We've all experienced weakness. We've all experienced failure. We've all experienced success. And by sharing with each other, we just don't know what impact we're going to have on each other's lives. So
Absolutely.
so grateful for everyone's share tonight. And let's give our other members a chance to come in next time. And I know you've got a story and I want to hear it.
Yeah.
So well
Love
done,
it.
everybody. Thanks very much. Take
Thank
care.
you.
God bless.
Good
See
night.
ya.
Thanks,
Good night.
guys.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Thanks.
Forging links.
Forging links.
Forging links, one person at a time.